everybody. Welcome to the Round 1 Star City Blood Bowl League update. And we are going to dive into what matches happened the first round as we kicked off the league. We're going to look at what players are kind of setting themselves apart in the statistical categories, the honors categories, and we're going to look at some predictions for the upcoming week. So let's just dive right in. So first, we'll talk about the Blue Ridge division. The MASH had the largest victory of really any team in the league last night as they cruised to a 3-0 win over the Valor Valkyries, a rookie Norse team. Mario Laclaus had, I think, 2 touchdowns and a casualty. Um, we can take a look here. Evgeny Stalkin ended up with a touchdown. And there even was a dead Norse lineman, Sari the Savage, which is now playing for the MASH as a zombie lineman. So good thing he gets to continue to play Blood Bowl and maybe run up into Blood Bowl glory still yet just as a undead necro player. Um, Rickety Blockett got an MVP, which is pretty huge because it's so hard to get them star player points. And then Helga the Jotun ended up with the MVP as well. And we'll look at skill ups and things like that here shortly. Not a lot of money in this match. They both rolled just average for their D3. However, they just don't have very many dedicated fans in this match, so there wasn't a lot of money to go around. Which really does hurt the Valor Valkyries with the dead player. They probably didn't get enough money to replace the dead player who they lost. Next up is the Green Slime Packer. Oh, I'm sorry, that's this week. Blah. Next up was the Sinister Storm and the Hush Huts Chosen. I think this game was a little bit of a shocker for some folks because they thought all elves and they have dwarves, but what a lot of people don't realize is I don't, as a dark elf starting team, they don't have dodge, so really the dwarves don't have much of an effect um, on them except for the witch elves, and the witch elves did pay for that. Raleigh Cinderheart paid with her life as she died. And Talmaeus ended up scoring a touchdown, and Loghar Haze Rider, the runner, scored a touchdown. Baron Spikehead is the one who ended up killing Raleigh Cinderheart, and Thrackbull and Mogus Nethercrusher, the blitzer for Sinister Storm, ended up uh, coming away with the MVP. Good amount of money in that game, 75,000 for the Storm, 55 for the Hushuts Chosen. And so, and the Sinister Storm went up in dedicated fans, and Hushuts went down for that loss. But the Weather Mage did pay off for the Chaos Dwarf team. I think we had pouring rain in the beginning of the game, and it was able to get negated so that Thrackbull, I think it was Thrackbull, picked up the ball and was able to start carrying it for a little while. So. That's all for that game. Next was the Silver Strikers and the Green Slime Packers. This was two relatively new players playing. I think it was maybe Seth's first full game, maybe second. Not very many. And Shad played in the past league. And they just murdered each other. I think there was a ton of casualties. 2 dead players, I think. Yep. Looks like an anonymous retainer lineman died and became an anonymous Rotter lineman. And then Felix de Ogre Mount killed Gert Poxes, a Rotter lineman. Um, Pretty busted up team, a couple badly hurts, one niggling injury bodyguard, which will hurt the Silver Strikers this coming match. But Victor Grime and Oder de Grand True came away with the MVPs. Okay money, not bad. They don't have a lot of dedicated fans, so this is kind of what you'd expect is, 30,000 or so. But yep, that's all for that match there. And the Packers came away with the win 1-0 because of, I think it was Slime Tongue. I could be getting that wrong. Let me take a look here. Is it Slime Tongue? Scab Tongue. Scab Tongue scored the score for the Packers. Next game was another bloodbath. There were a lot of really nasty games. This was the Slans South Lustrian Bullfrogs against a fresh Royal Family Lizardmen team. And man, it was rough. I think there was a total of 8 casualties caused in the match. 5 suffered for the oh gosh, the Slam team. Two, three, yeah, 5 suffered by the Slam team. So we're looking at a couple missed next game skinks because of minus armor, which those are probably just about fireable at this point. I wouldn't even keep them on the team um, if they don't have any skills or anything, and just take a journeyman one. Um, the skink runner lineman Willow also missing next game. Um, Havel the Blitzer's a miss next game, so he's going to not be playing. Croxagor's not going to be playing. Um, Descartes is dead. Socrates dead. A couple of Ninglings and badly hurts. Um, but all around a pretty rough game. Uh, Sartre, I'm probably not pronouncing that right. The catcher got an MVP and a lobster got MVP, and I think that's probably enough. He was able to skill up this match because he got a touchdown, a Saurus blocker touchdown, which you don't see every day. So I'm sure that he skilled up in that match. And the royal family, led by Coach Elizabeth, or Croxagor Queen Elizabeth, um, came away with the 1-0 there. Last game of the Blue Ridge division was the Punching Stunties and the Iron City Dwarves, and this was pretty much a grudge match. You can see not much was reported because not a lot happened with their armor. Um, Carrig Warsmith got a touchdown in the MVP, so he likely skilled up that match with 7. Noblord kind of led the way with 2 touchdowns, but he did get hurt at the very end of that match. I'm assuming it looks like maybe by his own accord he may have failed to dodge or something. And then Noblord also came away with the MVP, as did Carrig Warsmith. Pig Splatter got a casualty, first casualty of the year. And they walked away with 75,000 gold, which is a good amount of money. Um, and so, yeah, they had a pretty good roll off right there. Um, let's see. So that really does it for the Blue Ridge division. Now the Mill Mountain division. First up, we have Travis John Pierce's Corpsetown Rough Riders against the Itzapaka Reptars. In this game, there wasn't a lot that went on in this one either, but they rolled pretty well for fans. So, yep, they came away with a good amount of money, 75, 85,000 each. Um, it looks like nothing too crazy happened. It looks like Gobbles got both the touchdown and the MVP, and Gorok got both the casualty and the MVP. So both of those players would be able to skill up after that game. So we'll look at what they ended up with. And the Rough Riders ended up winning that one 1-0, which is a 4-point win. The Vermintide came over the Shadow Goats in a relatively typical game for Skaven, where they take a lot of injuries, but still have enough to come away. They had the help of a part-time assistant coach to make the game happen. Looks like red shirt number 9A
And now here's a word from our
was
sponsor.
injured and dead, which don't think he was a skilled up guy, but um, he did die on turn 0. I actually witnessed this as soon as the kickoff was out. He got killed. Scatter got a touchdown. Grog Bloodstool grabbed a casualty. Um, Skitter got hurt, a gutter runner. Let's see. Jay Goatsby is going to be missing next game. Uh, Gristletooth got a casualty. Scatter got a second touchdown. And that's pretty much it there. Billy the Kid got the MVP and Gristletooth. So Gristletooth, I can't remember if he was a skilled up guy. Oh, and then there was a completion that was added by Warp Thrower. Um, I think that was forgotten to be recorded in the actual match. So that got added in late. But the Vermintide came away with a 5-point win over the Shadow Goats in their first match. It was actually pretty close from star player points, so aside from it being a loss for the Shadow Goats, they didn't really get far behind in star player points. Next up was the Corn Dogs and the Grimoire Mallergas. This was a game that was the first time for both of these players pretty much to play a full game. It looks like uh, King Tut here got a casualty against Cornean, a Bloodseeker, a Ningling. Horace Goulman ended up with a touchdown. G Dog for the was a Corngore that also scored a touchdown. Let's see, and then Khufu Shamble, the White Blitzer, also got a touchdown. Um, and a zombie lineman, Matt Deadman, got the MVP. That's kind of funny. But man, they came away with a lot of money, 100,000, 90,000 each. Henry Lee got the MVP for the Corn Dogs, and so, but the Grimoire Mallergas out-edged them 2-1 in their first game. Let's see, the Stone Cold Stunners against the Rat Pack. This was kind of a bloody game as well. Ended up with quite a few hurt rats, including it looks like mostly there was a Ningling, but most of them were just badly hurt or so. The one who suffered the worst injury was Lord Za, who ended up dying as a result of the game. Um, Krungo got a casualty. The Chaos Troll Sir Radigan got a completion as expected. And it looks like the touchdowns were scored by Lord Varen and Gore Vidal. Lord Varen got the MVP, so I can't remember if that's enough for him to skill up. It probably makes him just short by like 2 points or something like that, but he'll skill up again very soon. And Hollis, the gutter runner, also got MVP. They got decent money to replace any dead players, but I think the Stone Cold Stunners are going to be maybe down a player, down a blocker into this next game, or maybe they had just enough to buy them back. Next up was the Goblin Shocker, is what I call it. The Goblins came away with a win over the Norse, and they actually did a fair amount of damage to the Norse. Jean Delars, which is the Norse catcher who's got some skills, he's not going to be playing in the next game, which is going to hurt the Hibernators a little bit. Blambo got a touchdown, the Pogoer. Uh, Juicer got a casualty. Let's see, missed next game. I don't see any dead players, but the one thing that hurt is Blambo got a Ningling injury, so that's unfortunate. Um, let's see, anybody else get hurt severely? No, but Juicer got an MVP, so he should have enough to get a skill. Nanook got another MVP, and I think that might be enough to give Nanook a skill as well, or they might be just short. But that was a 5-point win for the Goblins, so we'll see if they can't hold that going into the next week. So, kind of looking at the standings, where they are right now before we look into upcoming weeks, um, it looks like right now the MASH is in first place as they had a 3-0 win, so they have a 3-net touchdown over the Valor Valkyries, and so that puts the Sinister Storm with a 5-point win in second. The Royal Family and the Green Slime Packers are both matched up, but I think it looks like they have the same net touchdowns, net casualties, combined score, injuries. That's a close one right there. I think they're pretty much evened out right there with 4 points apiece. The Punching Stunties got a 3-point win, and then the Grudge Bearers, Silver Strikers, Bullfrogs, Hashut's Chosen, and the Valor Valkyries. And so this mainly gets flipped so that the person who got fifth ended up with their opponent in sixth, fourth, seventh, and so on. So it's just kind of a mirror of each other on down. But nobody's out yet. There's still 7 games to play, so still anybody's game in the Blue Ridge. And then, of course, in the Mill Mountain, the Stone Cold Stunners held on to a 5-point win, and with their net casualties, they're up 3. That puts them in first over the Vermintide. And then the Vermintide and the K-Spring Crash also came away with 5-point wins. And then the Corpsetown Rough Riders and the Grimsmore Mallergas got 4 and 3 points apiece. And then the Corn Dogs, Reptars, Goats, Hibernators, and Rat Pack all got 0 points because of their loss. But they'll see if they can't bounce back and get some points in the upcoming week. So, what people need to, understand, these 5 points are pretty huge, as you can see. Like, you know, you think about it, winning is only, 60% of the total points you can get. So you really could 5 point out over half, most of your games or half of them and still do better than someone who won 60% or more of their games if they didn't win them big. So just do your best to, obviously stop teams from scoring, play good defense, but also play good offense, and you'll come away with 5 points in that round. So let's look at a little bit of the honors of what we got here. We'll just look at players. I think that's usually the best. We can talk a little bit. The Punching Stunties are currently the highest team value team at 1,200, followed by the Mallergas at 1,175, 1,160 for the Packers, 1,140 for the Hushuts, 1,140 for the Rough Riders. There's 3 teams with 6 dedicated fans, which is the K-Spring Crash, Stone Cold Stunners, and the Mallergas. The MASH are sitting with the most SPP right now, and that's probably mostly LaClaws right there. I think he's like 1 point away from being able to skill up and grab another skill. Um, the MASH are leading in touchdowns scored with 3. There's a handful of teams that have scored 2. Casualty wise, right now, most beast goes to the Royal Family with 6. Um, Most injured is the Bullfrogs, which were the victim of the royal family's last game. And then most deadly, the royal family's killed 2 um, players so far. And the Silver Strikers actually are the best passing team currently in the game, which is Imperial Nobility. That's actually really shocking to me. Um, So looking at player wise, we'll call this the Patrick Mahomes Award. The highest paid player in the league right now is Mario LaClaus, followed by 2 Bull Centaurs, Thrack Bull and Pig Splatter, and a couple big guys, Helga and Queen Elizabeth. Most experienced players so far in the league through the one game is 10 points, 10-star player points for Noblord, 9 for A Lobster. We typically call this the Spike Player Award, the Spike Magazine Award. It usually goes to the person who generates the most SPP in a single season. Scorer wise, Noblord, Mario LaClaus, and Scatter all have 2 touchdowns. Looking at most beast, Queen Elizabeth has had 2 casualties. Locke, the Bullfrog Lineman's had 2 casualties. That's good. And Artio, the Hibernators lineman, has 2 as well. A handful of people have been injured, obviously, through one time. Only one MVP has been given out, so there's a 10-way tie there, or a 20-way tie there. And then most completions is currently Vincent, the Imperial thrower for the Silver Strikers, and there have been no interceptions so far this season. So now that we went through the first round, let's look at what we have coming up. Today, we actually have a game of the MASH against the Hushuts Chosen. This game right here is going to be interesting to me. I'm curious to see how the Dwarves, if their tackle and things can get a handle on Mario LaClaus and maybe bring him to the ground. Obviously, he's a block dodge sidestep werewolf, so he's hard to handle. And then they also have a blodge sure hands ghoul runner and a mighty blow wraith. So um, I think they have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players. So they do have one reserve there. And this is looking at 1140 against 1120 team value. So really evenly matched. No one's going to get any inducements unless they spend their cash. My guess right here is that, Hashut's probably not going to be able to stop someone, either Evgeny or Mario LaClaus from scoring. At least once. So I'm going to give them 1 touchdown. And Hushuts, I think they're going to be able to power down one time, but there's just not going to be enough time on the clock for either team to get 2 touchdowns. So I'm going to say that's going to be a 1-1 draw. Um, Then we also have on Sunday a couple games scheduled. We have the Green Slime Packers against the Sinister Storm. Sinister Storm are playing without one of their Witch Elves, and they will have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And they'll have a journeyman take their place. No skills across the whole team, so they're playing with a rookie team against a two skilled player, two block, claws finned, bloaters on the Nurgle team. And this could get bad for the Dark Elves. I mean, they're obviously out strength. They don't have the armor to keep up a ton. They have similar armor to the Pestigores and the Rotter Linemen. But I'm sure what'll happen is the Sinister Storm will look to, target the ball carriers, which is pretty much the Pestigores for the only agility 3 for the Nurgle to see if they just can't stop them from moving the ball much. And it's pretty much just going to come down to who outlasts who. Um, I'm not sure that the Sinister Storm will have the firepower, the number of players to go up a 2-0 in this one. I'm going to give it 1-0 against the Green Slime Packers, and that the Sinister Storm will come away with this one here. The Royal Family, or let me just start from the top. I think that's easier. The Punching Stunties and the Silver Strikers. This team right here is going to be a little outmatched for the Silver Strikers. The Silver Strikers are missing a bodyguard. Um, I think this could go the way of the Silver Strikers if they were able to position really well, use their wrestle to an advantage to pull down a lot of these Chaos Dwarf blockers and slow them down. Obviously, it looks like the Punching Stunties like to run with the Hobgoblins, which is not super standard Chaos Dwarf play. So, target these couple Hobgoblins and he'll be forced to try and carry it with a Bull Centaur. Um, and then as far as what the stunties could do, I mean, just try and eat up these linemen, try and get good positioning. And yeah, I mean, just realize that if you attack a wrestle guy, he could stand firm or just pull you both down, which doesn't help much. Um, the Silver Strikers should look to foul if they can get maybe 3 assists, 2 to 3 assists on any of the Hobgoblins. But that's pretty much it for that game. I'd probably give that one. The Punching Stunties are going to win that one 2-0 at this point. The Royal Family and the Valor Valkyries. The Valor Valkyries are a little beat up. 6, 7, 8, 9. They're going to have two journeymen. They have a Mighty Blow Thick Skull Yeti. The Thick Skull, that's a shame. But the Mighty Blow, I think this is one of those things where randoming once paid off, randoming the second time did not. So maybe that's a lesson learned. Maybe it's all even. Um, but they could afford one more player if they wanted to, but I would just probably take the loners at this point. The lizards are going to be a little hurting because they're going to have a handful of journeyman skinks. So things could go bad if they fail pickups or dodges or anything like that beyond their dodge reroll. Then they're not going to be able to reroll those with consistency. So some poor pickups or something like that could have them struggling. Um, but it's going to be hard for um, the Valor Valkyries to really outmatch a lot of the Saurus, but they outblock them. And so if they can get some one dies or some dauntless rolls through their catcher or something like that, then that would help even that score. I'm going to give that one to the Royal Family. I'm going to say that one's going to be 1-0. And then the Iron City Grudge Bears get a game against a really beaten up Slan team, and so I don't think this is going to go well for Z. Um, it's just, I mean, missing your Croxagore, missing your one blitzer you had. He's going to have, I think, 5 journeymen to put up there. The good thing is you can put those up on front of the line and let those be the meats for the Iron City Grudge Bears to nab up. It looks like they have a guard and a block already, so they're already skilling up, um, as expected um, for a dwarf team. So 11-10 against the 660. Even with the 5 linemen, they'll get closer to 1,000. There may be 50K of inducements in this, but it's gonna be a tough one for the Illustrian Bullfrogs. The Grudge Bears will come away with this one 2-0. Um, Next up, the Hungry Hibernators against the Grimmore Maulergas. Let's see here. Looks like there is quite a few players out for the Hungry Hibernators. They're sitting at 800K, whereas it looks like there's a very healthy Shambling Undead team. If I were the Shambling Undead, I would look to, when you get those Norse players on the ground, use your zombies or use your skeletons to foul with, and get those Norse players out of the game. Their armor's 7. Once they're on the ground, it's super easy to casualty them and get them out, and you can work them off the field. I don't think the Maulergas will have much trouble in this one. I think they'll come away with a 2-0 win in this one as well. Um, Corn Dogs against the Shadow Goats. This is two new players. This will be a good one. I think they've both played like one game fully. And so the Corn Dogs are going to be down one of their strength 4 guys. So that gives a little bit of an advantage to the Shadow Goats, I think, which have all 4 of their blockers, a couple of block in place. And this is really going to come down to if the Shadow Goats can be aware of the sidelines and realize that Frenzy will surf them right out. Um, and then, the Corn Dogs just need to do a good job of positioning well with the Frenzy to make sure they don't get themselves into some bad blocks when they're throwing them. I'm going to give this one a 1-1 draw. I think both these players are pretty evenly matched skill wise, and I think both of the teams are pretty evenly matched at this point as well. What do we got next? Oh, the Stone Cold Stunners and the Rough Riders. This is looks like, did he replace his blocker? He's got no money. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Guess he did not. 1, 2, 3. I don't see it. So he's going to be playing with only 3 blockers, it looks like, but he's got block, extra arms, block. This guy is 1 point from skilling up. Lord Varen is, and I think that's it. I don't think there's any other skills to go around. He doesn't have any money. Um, no apothecary still, so he's still at the whim of the dice roll if he gets hurt. But he's a pretty healthy Chaos Chosen team against Corpsetown Rough Riders. Let's see what they've got. They got Gobbles, Sure Hands, Kjell Stitchinson, which is a Frenzy. You'd be surprised how good this Frenzy Strength 4 will be. I think he's going to be better than you think he is for a lot of people. That's a good pick, I think. Um, Brain Radier got guard, and then Tachenzo has safe pair of hands. So the Stone Cold Stunners just have to realize that Necro only have 4 ball carriers, right? They have the werewolves, and they have the 2 ghouls. Nobody else can pick the ball up pretty much. I mean, agility 4 is not any good. The wraiths have no hands. So hurt those 4 guys, and then you'll be fine. I think this will be 2-0 to the Stunners still. Um, at this point, I think they're just going to outstrength them. The Reptards against the Vermintide. This one right here, it looks like Gorok has a block skill, but there's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's going to be a journeyman for the clan rats unless they buy one. So this is going to be a tough one. I think that if the Skaven can stay out of the punchy battle, they come away with this one 2-1. Is what I think. I think they're going to have a hard time stopping them, the Lizardmen, once they're moving forward. But so that's why I think they're still going to score, but the Skaven are going to be able to respond so fast that I think that it's going to be pretty easy for them to get in. 6, yeah. I mean, they've got a full team. The only thing they could pick up, gosh, I mean, I would almost pick up an apothecary and I'd pick up another skink just to have an extra at this point, because you got the money and nothing else really to spend it on. Um, and so the Reptards could get scary if they hurt some rats. They might be able to work them off the field. Um, and so I would guess that game probably comes down to 2-1 with the Vermintide taking that one. And then we have the Cave Spring Crash against the Rat Pack. Cave Spring Crash are without Blambo. They're sidestep pogoer. Dumpster, their Goblin Wrestler. So they're going to be playing with a relatively new team. They did have Juicer get Brawler. So that's going to help prevent some turnovers. And then Sir Radigan is still here with tentacles, accurate claws, and dump off. A pretty awesome player, really, of randomness. But he's there. There's a strip ball, gutter runner, foul appearance, blitzer. Um, they're going to be playing with at least one journeyman because Rathew is going to be out, so there won't be kick to take advantage of. Um, this one's going to be close. I think that, let's see, they'll have their Looney the Bama fanatic. If if the Rat Pack can either score really quickly to force the Crash to use their bribes, or just avoid the secret weapons, then they might be able to be okay. But I think that this one's going to come down to one with the Crash being able to score and the Rat Pack also being able to score, and this one will be a draw. So that's my guess of the games of the week. I hope everybody has fun. Get your games in between now and February 5th. So you have until February 5th to get them in. Do not delay because we're still during snow time, so don't schedule on February 5th because we might get snow. You just never know. Try and get a couple days. Try and get them in early if you can. It also allows me to do these updates. And so, yep, that's kind of where we're sitting right now. There's a game today. There's two games tomorrow. There's a game on Monday. Um, it looks like. So a bunch of games next week. So if you get a chance to get out, go check these games out. Go, root people on or root against people, whatever. It's always good to have people there watching. Looks good for the league and helps us recruit. So thanks everybody. Have a good Saturday and weekend, and have a good round two.